With your voice, you stand up to the bullies of this world. You give a voice to those that companies have tried to squelch, have tried to silence. You are their mouthpiece. And it's with your voice that you inspire juries to return with a verdict for your client. It's with your voice that you empower them to use their voice in deliberations, to speak up, to ultimately deliver justice. By doing the vocal work, you bring healing to yourself, to the mind body connection, and to the world. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you here and glad to have you in the Foster fam. So let me first ask, did you make it past Quitter's Day? Is this something you're familiar with? Apparently, it's the second Friday of January when historically people give up on their New Year's resolutions. They've actually made a day for it. It's called Quitter's Day, which is a little bit harsh, I think. Heaping shame on people, you quitter. Anyway, I'm all about goal setting. I'm never going to poo poo that idea. In fact, every year on New Year's Eve, I do this. It's kind of a monster recap of my previous year's activities, events, shows I've watched, shows I've participated in, yada, yada. And part of this big post is to also declare my intentions for the upcoming year. Resolutions just seem so formal and intimidating. I resolve. No, thank you. I intend sounds a bit softer and more room for grace. So I'm curious, do you do resolutions or variations of that? And then what's your plan for the day after perfect? Now, that's a phrase that I learned from John Acuff. If you're not following him or reading his books already, I highly recommend basically everything he does. In his book Finish, he talks about the day after perfect, when your best laid plans go to crap and your resolutions go by the wayside. What's your plan? Most people just give up entirely. So this year, I took a different approach to my intentions. I still made them, but I decided to date them a bit. This is another John Acuff concept. Seriously, check him out. If you're trying on something that you've never done before with any kind of consistency or not at all, don't marry it right out of the gate. That's not a relationship that's set up for success. Just date your goals or intentions, resolutions, whatever you want to call it, for like 7 days or 30 days. Then decide if you want to commit to it for another month or for a whole year. Not every goal is for every person. Just because it's a good idea doesn't mean it's a good idea for you. By dating your goals for a week or a month, you can take the pressure off of a resolution. Identify the fake goals. Those are like the social goals that everyone says you should do, but you don't really know if it fits for you. Like, who came up with 10,000 steps a day? Who came up with that rule? Get rid of it and then set yourself up for success. And then send me an email or DM me on any of the social platforms to let me know how your goal dating is going. Because we ain't no quitters around here. So, today we're talking about your voice, their justice, healing within and advocating beyond. Not going to get all woo woo, but I do want to unpack some of the ways that vocal work is a healing modality. You know, we've been speaking all our lives, so it's really easy to just take it for granted or to underappreciate just how powerful it is, both for harm and for good. And I'm not talking about power that comes from volume or just talking louder. I'm talking more about the deeper, more personal power of the impact of your voice or others' voices in your life. So, vocal work is a healing modality. What do I mean by that? I mean that as you learn to unlock your voice, learn to expand your range, and explore various tones and how to infuse emotional meaning into your content for the courtroom, you will be, in effect, healing yourself, healing your mind body connection, and healing the world. Okay, that sounds dramatic and way more in depth than what you thought you'd be going to today. So let's just take a breath. I'm just going to introduce these three levels of healing to you so that you can start to increase your awareness around them. It's just a start, just an overview. You're okay. I'm okay. We're safe here. So while you're feeling all safe and cozy, let's look inward first. Think back to your home of origin, the home where you were raised, especially in your early years. How would you describe the culture of your home? Were you raised in a home with lots of kids, lots of busyness, where you had to fight to be heard? Or did you have the opposite effect? Did it make you become more resigned? Were you in an environment where you were encouraged to talk, to share about your feelings, or even share about your day? Or were you given a clear message that children should be seen and not heard? All of these early childhood experiences fed into your personality development and your voice development. By learning more about how your voice works, by learning how to describe it, by becoming aware and assessing it, like we talked about in the first episode, you get to make decisions about how you would like your voice to be now and how to have it better reflect the inner person you want to become or at least be perceived as. If you had to talk over people to be heard, you may not be aware that you're a loud talker by nurture. And that can be received by others as aggressive, dogmatic, forceful, intimidating. So you now have an opportunity to learn to articulate your ideas with a softer, warmer voice. If you felt like your voice was squelched and not valued, jurors might perceive you as shy, not authoritative, weak. So, this is your chance to learn to develop some projection and some power through your voice that is supported by your breath. And if you were raised in a home where you were encouraged to speak up, where your thoughts and your voice were valued, where there was a lot of warmth and understanding, you may not be aware at how accommodating you are, or you might be sensitive to harsher tones and feel shut down when others speak over you. You naturally expect everyone to respect and value everyone's voice, and that's not the case. So, this is a good chance for you to maybe explore some of the edgier tones, expand your range, and push yourself to be more assertive and insistent strategically at times. This vocal work can bring reconciliation and healing to those early development years. How you were raised with the person you want to become now. Vocal work is healing work for you. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. A too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. It's just absolutely wild to me how the body does things that the mind does not intend. I mean, maybe this is an obvious statement, but it just never ceases to amaze me when I catch my body doing something that my brain is actively willing it not to do. For example, I was working with a client the other day who, as they started using more of their middle voice and their upper range, they would kind of stretch for the higher pitches. So, just a quick side note, if you want to see what I'm doing, you can watch me over on my YouTube channel. Just search for Foster Your Voice and you can see this episode. But for those that are just listening on a podcast platform, as they were trying to use their higher pitches, their chest raised, their shoulders lifted, and their chin tilted up. Now, no one would choose to do that. Nor did my client believe that this was the most effective way to express their message, but the body does what the body does. But when you start paying attention to your voice, when you start paying attention to your nonverbal communication, when you start bringing awareness to what your hands are doing, how you're breathing, etc., you can then redirect and train your body to do what you will it to. You can guide it to communicate on purpose. Now, there are some what I call necessary tensions that we hold. Like to maintain my posture and carry my frame, I allow for those necessary tensions. Otherwise, my body would just collapse and flop around. So I want some tension, but anything that is unnecessary, like reaching for the upper range, being stiff in your shoulders so that you keep your body small, or one of my favorites, furrowing your brow when you think. This is my thinking face. My clients hear me say all the time, think with your brain, not with your face. It's those unnecessary tensions that you can release and then redirect that cellular energy to be used for better expression. Doing the vocal work, you start to heal the mind body connection. The third example of how vocal work is a healing modality is that you are able to bring healing to the world. With your voice, you instruct. You teach about what should happen in order for integrity and community standards and right protocols to stand. With your voice, you invite the jury in. Not only do you provide hospitality by setting them at ease with your vocal mastery, but in your storytelling, you give them a window into the scene. You give them a chance to see from your client's perspective, which develops empathy within them. With your voice, You stand up to the bullies of this world. You give a voice to those that companies have tried to squelch, have tried to silence. You are their mouthpiece. And it's with your voice that you inspire juries to return with a verdict for your client. It's with your voice that you empower them to use their voice in deliberations, to speak up, to ultimately deliver justice. By doing the vocal work, you bring healing to yourself, to the mind-body connection, and to the world. This week, I just want you to continue paying attention. Take stock in the ways that you use your voice. Keep a tally of when you're aware of using your voice to heal yourself. Do you speak in a way that you do because of or in spite of how you were raised? Using your voice to heal your mind-body connection. Where does your body do something in conjunction with a vocal something? And do you really want it to do that? And where you are using your voice to heal the world. How often do you find yourself serving as a mouthpiece for those that are silenced? Let's do a lot of healing this week. And until next week, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.